Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is you're listening. My name is Jane Anderson, and I am the host of the Journey with Janey podcast. And I'm here with you today on episode 31. How did that happen? And you know what that means? I look at this and go, we are well over halfway through the year. I started this at the end of January, and I, for one, hands up, really didn't think I would stick this out and actually do more than maybe a handful of podcasts. But I have to say, I love getting on here and chatting to you all, and I hope you enjoy listening to my insightful, well, I hope they're insightful, journey of where I'm at and where I'm going, and hope that it helps you on your journey as well. And today, what I thought I would do is actually do a little bit of a reintroduction as to why I'm here, why the Journey with Janey podcast was started, and why Journey with Janey was started, to be fair, and what my plans are, and see how that kind of works into where you are. I'll also put some feelings and where I went, what I did, how I was feeling. I'm going to be fairly honest and vulnerable with you all today, because I feel that it's one way of me connecting with you guys, and hope that I'll resonate with the people that need me to help guide them on their journey. So my journey, now I have to say, I thought my journey started in 2022 when my mum died in January of 2022, and my husband, Jonathan, died in 2022 also. I had both my hips replaced, and I was recovering from both hip replacements at the different times. So it was trauma for the hips, because hip replacement is a traumatic operation. So it was trauma, and it was also grief. So I thought 2022 was my grief journey, where it started. And yes, that is the reason, that was the trigger in 2022, because nobody expects to lose or have their soulmate die at the age of 50. And for me, I was only 49, so classed as a young widow, even though I have, teenage children at the time. So for me, that was the spark that was like, oh my goodness, like from walking out of the hospital after Jonathan died, my identity was just wiped out. I had no idea who I was anymore, what I was doing. My whole life that I had planned out for retirement, finishing work, us spending time together, the plans, the things that we talked about, the holidays we were going to have, the places we were going to visit, and just even being able to sit in front of the stove, cozy on a night time once the kids had flown the nest, and just have time for ourselves. So that kind of all disappeared overnight. Well, not even overnight. It was basically like that. Jonathan died. We left the hospital, and we were given, well, I personally was given no direction as to what to do next. So for me, I had to go into overthinking mode. I went into being angry, resentful, and particularly just not wanting to continue. And I think this is where I kind of headed back into the realms of, in 2010, I think it was, 2010, 2011, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. And my word, that was like being hit by a bus. So I digress from the grief side of things, but this is also what I've realized since, that when I was diagnosed with that chronic fatigue in 2010, I was grieving the life that I had and thought was actually finished, and hadn't really actually dealt with that process when I started looking back with the training, the David Kessler grief educator training, going back and looking at all of the grief that I've experienced over my lifetime. So looking back on the chronic fatigue syndrome side of things, I suddenly realized that I didn't accept that that was the end of my life as I knew it. I can still remember the night when it got to the point where I was like, I need to do something, otherwise I'm going to end up in a wheelchair and not be able to look after my, at the time, two very young children. I think if I remember rightly, it was during lambing time. So Jonathan was busy. He was outside farming and late in. And I had to crawl up the stairs behind the kids because I couldn't physically walk up the stairs. And I'm not taking anything away from anybody else who has this. It is the most horrendous feeling in your body when you can't actually get it to do what you want it to do. And the pain was, I do now know I have quite a high pain threshold. The pain was like, the only way I can describe it is even my fingernails were sore. So anyway, this is where I got to that point. I got the kids into the bath and I managed to wash my children and get them to bed. But I remember hanging over the side of the bath, attempting to play with the kids while they washed and got themselves ready, and part dried them, thinking, what are you doing? What is this? And I actually had to reevaluate where I was at that particular point in time. So I actually looked for alternative therapies. The doctor basically diagnosed me, and then said, well, you've got chronic fatigue. There's not really a lot we can do. And part of me was like, yeah, that's fine, but I can't go on like this. So I think what I'm trying to say is I looked for something because the healthcare system at that particular time was not guiding me into any alternatives. And I think a lot of the time, I know it's a lot more, dare I say, normal now for people to go and look at holistic or alternative ways to get themselves back up and running. And for me, I went and did some NLP, and 4 days of NLP. It was pretty intense. My mum had to drive me the first 2 days. The third day, I managed to drive home after the session. And then on the fourth day, I managed to drive there and back. So that was an hour's drive, half an hour there and half an hour back. So I think what I'm trying to get at is my journey from 2022, which I've talked about, and the mentorship and learning the scientific process of the mind, and also the thinking, holistic, finding meaning, grief educator training that I've done. Actually, it wasn't new to me. It was actually a follow-on from what I had used in the past, but not understood how positive an effect it had on my journey in life. So I think for me, I just wanted to share that story today, that it's okay to look for alternative therapies to help you be the person you want to be. And grief is unique to each and everybody. We are unique people, and we need to be able to find what resonates for us. So it is, how am I going to put this? I found it difficult to actually, I trawled the internet, I'll be honest, to find the support that I needed. And I still didn't find it on the internet. It was through a referral from a friend to say, I'm doing this mentorship training. I think you might find it useful. I think the words were, I've got something you need, but I'm going to give you a bit of time and then we'll get sorted. So I was 2 months into the death of Jonathan when I joined mentorship. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, that's far too soon. It's only far too soon if it's far too soon for you as an individual. So what I'm saying is grief is unique. It can be 2 weeks down, 2 weeks after the death. It can be 6 months after. It can be 2 years after. It can be 20 years after. I mean, obviously, I'm looking at like 15 years since my chronic fatigue, which is part of my grief journey. And that is all I wanted to say to you today. And I sound like I've preached to you all today, or I don't know. Anyway, I would love your feedback. And basically what I'm saying is this beautiful support group that I have set up here in Corbridge on Wednesday between 10 till 11. It's very relaxed. I'm a listening ear. I always have a smile on my face. And I would love to think that people who maybe are struggling, if you know somebody who is and might need my help, why not bring them along and actually guide them yourself? Ask first, though, ask their permission and say, look, I've been listening to this podcast and I think this might help you. And it's basically referring people, because we need to be guided sometimes. And I want to be able to guide people by seeing them face to face or working with them online. And the only way I can do that is for me to be visible. So hence I am here weekly at the Angel Inn in Corbridge. And I would love for you, if you are listening, to share and let people know who I am, where I'm at. There are loads of ways to work with me, and it's all on my website, www.janeywithjaney.com. So I know I may have gone on and on and on today, but I felt as though I needed to come on here and share a bit more about my story and how I am where I am. So I hope this has helped somebody. And all I want to say is, remember, you are the most important person and you are the only person you can control. So I look forward to catching up with some of you in person. And yeah, until next time, guys, enjoy. Always remember, there is something within you that knows no limits. It's time to believe in you. Click the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. I love reading your reviews and comments, so right away. So, if you're ready to take those small steps to transform your true self, let's do life together.